One of the most important concepts when we use a heart monitor is the spot zone. So behind me you see there's this chart here. In Polar we use a 5 spot zone. So we have zone 1 all the way to zone 5. How we break up the zone is using different percentages, and that percentage is a percentage of your maximum heart rate, which we calculate by using 220 minus your age. That is a good estimation. So when you work out in percentage, it will work out in beats per minute, and usually there's a lower zone and a higher zone. So for instance, in zone 1 I have 50 to 65%. That is a very low zone. In fact, we don't do much training in this zone. This is mostly for warm-up, and maybe after a race, very easy workout should be used at this zone. Recommended would be like swimming, because that is non-impact and you can get our heart rate very, very low. In zone 2 is where we start the training, and if we are doing long runs, this will be the best zone to keep the heart rate in. It will be 65 to 75%. In this zone is actually very easy. If you're running with somebody, you can continue talking to that person. It's somewhat like a talking pace. Also in this zone is where we actually teaches the body to metabolize fats. A lot of people, they tend to do the runs very high, very hard intensity, and that's where they are not efficient to burn fats. If you're running marathons and ultra marathons, typically you're going anything from 3 hours to ultra marathon. People take more than 12 hours to complete that. So you will need to learn how to burn fats. That probably is one of the most underestimated zone that people do not do any training in. And then we move on to zone 3, where it's 75 to 85%. This is kind of like a tempo pace. It's not too fast and not too slow. A lot of people tend to do the run stuck at this pace, constant. I think it'd be good that if they break it up, they can get into this zone, but once they're comfortable, they might want to shift to the higher end of this zone. So maybe between like 80 to 85%. So this is where we can do a lot of tempo running. If somebody is targeting to run a marathon, this will likely to be a zone that they will run throughout the race. If they are fitter, it is possible that they can shift to run at a higher end of zone 3 or a lower end of zone 4. For the ultra marathon runners, I think it's very unlikely that they can sustain the pace at a zone 4. So it's most recommended they stick the pace to a zone 3. And if they stick to a zone to the pace at zone 3, they can also monitor themselves and see if they're pushing too hard, and also if they need to hydrate themselves, because if they find that they're keeping the same pace and the heart rate starts to go up, this is where they are dehydrated and they can monitor themselves. Okay, zone 4 is where we do mostly the interval runs or the tempo runs. Interval runs is good to get to zone 4 on possibly the low end of zone 5. This is where we teach the legs to turn over faster. We can work a higher cadence, and at the same time we get the body to more anaerobic state. So if we do more run at this level, the body is more effective to hold at a faster pace for a longer period of time. So for people who target to do a fast 10K or marathon, this is definitely the pace that they should do most of their training in. Zone 5 is a very high heart rate zone. This is something that I do not recommend for recreational runner, but to intermediate and advanced runner or elite runners, definitely they should get more training into this zone. This is where you work harder into your VO2 max. Of course, a person who has a higher VO2 max will definitely be a fitter person. So at this zone, you can hold the pace longer, you definitely will become a faster runner. So this is how we work with the 5 spot zone.